All right, let's get started. First off, my name is Mike Stevens. I work in the Office of Legislation with the Department of Natural Resources, and I'm here to talk about the Millennium Reserve. Before we get started too early on that, Millennium Reserve, we are open to name changes. We've had a lot of people kind of iffy on that name, so one of them was the Calumet Millennium Reserve, and others. So if you have any suggestions, please come up to me and let me know. We're open to changing the name. We don't want the sticking point on this thing to be the name of what we're going to call it. So we're open to anything you guys like. First, a little brief about what we're trying to do with the Millennium Reserve is, first off, we're trying to reconnect Americans, and especially children, to America's rivers and waterways, their natural landscapes, ranches, and places with national significance, ranches, farms, forests, great parks, coasts, beaches, by exploring a variety of efforts. Our next attempt for this program is to bring everyone together, bring both state, local, private people, private entities, non-government organizations, and try to work to conserve land, water, wildlife, historic, and cultural resources, while creating corridors and connectivity across these outdoor spaces. And finally, our last goal in this is to use good scientific management practices. We're not coming in this and trying to do this willy-nilly. We're trying to use all the best available science out there through either soil samples, water samples, trying to make sure that what we're doing is sustainable for the long term. So that's just the brief overview of what the Millennium Reserve Project is. So we'll get started. First, this is the map of what is now we're calling the core Calumet area, and in that map is where all those green spaces in there are all the current public lands in that area. And so what we're doing there is trying to make sure that those are protected, and eventually we would like to connect all those. And that's what the Millennium Reserve Project is to create corridors in between the green spaces to connect the whole South Calumet area over to the northwestern part of Indiana in the sand dunes. And just because we don't have anything filled in or shadowed in Indiana does not mean that we're not having outreach with Indiana. We actually met this morning with people from Indiana, but it's not really Illinois' Department of Natural Resources to tell them how to manage their state. So we're going to let them take their part of the Indiana, the northern sand dunes area. All right, and one of the reasons that we have started this program is because of President Obama's Americans Great Outdoor Initiative. And that was, again, to reconnect Americans, especially children, to the outdoors, and to use the 3 points that I had mentioned: build upon local priorities for the conservation of land, water, wildlife, historic, and cultural resources. And that is really why we have been doing public forums and trying to get people's involvement, because we want to build on local priorities. And that is actually from, this project has actually come from when the President announced this American Great Outdoors Act. They came in and had public meetings here in the Chicago area, and from our understanding is that the Calumet region really hit those public forums very heavily, and that's what got so much attention, not only from local, state, but also from our federal friends in the government. And again, we're a scientific-based agency, so we're going to use the best science available to make sure that everything we do is for the best of the area. Again, this slide, this is just partnerships. It's not a hierarchy. It is a conglomeration. We are taking people's input. No one has. This is the final say. No one group is above the other, and no one agency is above the other. we're working at this together, and we'll try to accommodate as much as we can. However, as you probably know, there are competing interests in everything that comes to conservation and recreation. All right, open space and trails. Our goal is to preserve these, the preservation of the almost 26,000 acres, or 2,600 acres, as well as the 53 miles of biking and hiking trails. It's not only our goal for this Millennium Reserve to protect those right now, but also to create more of a interconnected pathway between the two. If you guys have any questions throughout this, feel free to raise your hand. All right, our management plan for this revolves around three things. The first is the core properties, the core lands, and the core lands are the ones that have significant scientific and endangered resources. That is Hedgewick Marsh and Banner Marsh are two prime examples of what core properties would be. That would be your wetlands and your areas that are vital to the sustainability of natural resources. And that's what we're focusing on first in this first phase. Our second management is called buffer or transition zones. And buffer and transition zones are the areas that are going to protect our core areas. The buffer zones are there they will be both trails, parks. You'll have ball diamonds, like recreational facilities. This is more for getting a recreational area around the core area to make sure that we have a buffer zone in between. If, say, an invasive flower or an invasive species is there, we have a buffer around that core area to make sure that we can protect those core areas. And this will be trails, land corridors, the bike paths, the hiking trails, and also there will be habitat, just not, it won't be designated the same habitat as our core areas, which are more precious. More precious is not a great word, but as we deem as a higher priority. That is good too. No? All right. So our end goal is restoring, one of our goals is to restore Lake Michigan's shoreline. And the process has already begun rebuilding, and I don't even know if you can call it rebuilding, but they have started to do work on trying to get the shoreline back to uninterrupted parkland, and that is our ultimate goal, is to assist in that and to make uninterrupted parkland along the shoreline. And they have been doing a fantastic job so far. This is a little push in the back saying we're going to move a little faster and try to get this done a little faster. Another aspect of the Millennium Reserve project is it's not all about conservation and recreation. There is an economic aspect to the Millennium Reserve project. And this is what we're really here for. As a member of the Department of Natural Resources, we're out there to protect the endangered species as well as promote recreation and promote conservation. But in the end, the core areas, that's what they're there for, is to help protect endangered and threatened species. This one would have looked a lot better with the colors. Imagine all these green areas, all these little areas would be green, and there should be blue rivers and streams all through there. For some reason, when I switch it over to PDF. It didn't show up color, but that is our envisioned green infrastructure, and that means not only will you have your parks, your recs, your core areas, but you'll also have areas where the land, such as a brownfield, has been reclaimed to a ballpark or a community garden type area where they can, so a community can go plant and then use it as at a food market or something like that, or one of their local, sell it to a local produce vendor. My slides are all messed up. We'll just keep going. So this is what the numbers we have of the core projects, what we would be protecting in just those core projects that we have identified so far. And that's, as you can see, a significant amount of wildlife would be negatively affected if we were not allowed to do this. Again, there's a commercial aspect to this, and with the commercial aspect, it's modernizing the port system, and that is to allow not only for more shipping and business to go through there, but to also allow for the areas around the port districts to have open green space, because I'm sure many of you are aware that the port district here does have quite a bit of open land that is currently not being utilized for recreation and conservation purposes. And this is actually what's going to happen here in the Calumet area. They're expanding the port system, and I think, yeah, by 2014 it will double the capacity for the number of ships to go through there. And this is what would happen if that new port system, and when it does come into effect in 2014. Instead of having all of the Asian products go straight to the West Coast and then shipped by rail or car, they can come down through the Panama Canal and up the Mississippi. And as you know, the Mississippi connects through the locks and dams to the Chicago waterway system. And this is more cost effective for the people shipping in Asia, so we are anticipating a higher number of products coming through Illinois with the revitalization of the port. And this again goes into the jobs aspect of it, jobs and sustainability growth. With the modernization of the international port, it will create, as you can see, 1,200 near-term jobs and almost 10,000 jobs over the long term. And it has a great potential for $1 billion, while also restoring industrial transportation infrastructure and an ecological role for the Lake Calumet marine system. And so this is what we're trying to do, is get everyone together and work on these enterprise lands. And the enterprise lands are they're the last part of our management plan. And these are the brownfields and the urban agricultural. And these are areas that have been just over the Calumet area has a lot of iron work. Still, the soil is not good because of all the iron factories that were in here. And so what we have been doing through a new program at IDNR, it's called Mud to Gardens, and we also have a Mud to Parks program. And what that does is it takes mud that has been silted in, because if you're not familiar, the Illinois River is filling in with the topsoil from Illinois farmland. So we'll take this silted in area, dredge it, let it sit, and make sure we do test for contaminants, so it's all safe, and then we'll spread it down, and then we'll create. This is an example of an urban agricultural center at the city, at Farm City in Chicago. Like I said, we have started our a Mud to Parks program, and right now, I think helped set it up. It's a 2 or 3 year old project. We have not done much with it yet, but we are really amping up to this because not only is the Illinois River silting in, but a lot of the areas in the Illinois are silting in because of just the topsoil is after harvest, it kind of just sweeps into the rivers. And then, like I had said, not only the mud to parks, but we also do mud to gardens. And this is for the Brownfields, and this is incorporating. This is for your local community gardens. There are not many places in the South Chicago area where you can have a big open field and have a plot of land for each person to say, this is what I'm going to grow here, this is my part of the garden. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people back outdoors and back to farm and back to what Illinois is known for, and that's for agricultural use. And what better way to do it than a local garden? And then also what we're trying to do with this is to provide opportunities for younger people to get out and enjoy the outdoors. Nowadays, if you have kids or if you have grandkids, you know that they're on their cell phones, they're on their computers. What our goal is to create enough green space out there to attract them back outdoors. And that's what we're trying to do here. And if we have bike paths and parks throughout the Chicagoland area, and may get them out and have some fun. And also, I'm not sure if you guys have heard, but Ford has been talking about creating an environmental center, and they've already said that they would help fund the environmental center with a significant amount of money. Now it's just up to us to come up with it.
Excuse me, who did you say was going to help?
Ford Motor Company.
Thank you.
Is it?
A little less than half.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're shaking your head.
Me?
So Kevin was.
Oh.
They had 26 million on the project and they have 8 million.
Okay.
Oh, it's gone up to 26.
It's a dream not fulfilled.
Well, that's what we're trying to move forward. We're trying to. That's why we're here, is to get everyone together, trying to get that ball rolling. So that's just the brief overview of what the Millennium Reserve Project is. It is there to. Let me make sure that's the last one, because that's what the Millennium Reserve Project's there to do. It's to create more green space and create a coordinated green space effort. And like I said, we're here. That's why we're here in public forums. We want people's input. This is not something that we're here just to say we're going to do. This is what we have planned. Take it or leave it. This is more of you guys helping us tell us what you want the use of the land for, and then we can integrate that into our plan. So that was my 20 minutes, and now I'm open to any discussions that you guys have.
So I know the original boundaries were much larger.
Yes.
What are the current boundaries? Can you north, south, east, west? Well, east is obviously the state line.
Yeah, this is the most current boundary that we have, right? Yeah, right here. So we're right on I think that's the Cook County line, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the western boundary then?
Right. Can't read mine. I can't read.
Western Avenue?
What's that?
Or the west, left, or
Yeah, what's
the 294?
no?
Can't make it out.
That's there.
No,
It's
Wouldn't that be the one that Cook County line up there?
It's an interstate, but I can't make out.
Is it
the
355 out there?
Well, it says 294 there, but 294 comes out at an angle, so it's kind of bigger than that even, it looks like. And then up to the northwest corner there, you're just a little bit farther than Dan White Woods.
Okay. Yeah.
So west is roughly 294 as it goes north-south. And then what's the northern boundary?
Well, the northern boundary is 95th Street.
It's It's a lot farther
Yeah,
north
right,
than
it
that.
was.
Yeah, actually, it goes to the mouth of Chicago River, so that was
That's 92nd.
92nd, yeah,
It's a lot farther north than that from this picture here.
right. But
Yeah,
that,
we've expanded.
It's expanded from the,
From, I don't know if you guys saw some of the preliminary maps that we had, but the first one stopped,
It looks like it goes
Right
up through the
about
bush
here.
at least up there.
and we've just kept incorporating because of,
yeah,
No, it's way past
that
that.
might be right. I mean, it might be 71st at the golf course up there even, Jackson Park maybe, or getting.
That's
well,
almost up
there
to
was
50.
discussion of
Yeah.
two boundaries,
68
Yes.
feet.
and,
this has a second boundary on it.
okay, so this.
This, way up here, is where our second boundary is gonna be. And
Okay.
it extends,
That's north of
as you can see
I-55.
over here, it extends all the way to the,
Yeah, so that was the original boundary, right?
this,
Essentially?
this has been expanded.
No, the brown one was the original boundary, right?
The brown one hasn't moved, it's moved a little, but the core boundary has moved
Right.
more than the initial, the big.
I understand it goes all the way up, if I'm connected to the lake, it goes all the way, the trail's in all the way up.
Yes, yeah, that is the ultimate goal, is to have it connect all the way to the shoreline of.
I think what is not represented on by this map is how critical the existing environmental sites are, that they're basic, all of the Chicago Open Space Reserve Plan, all of those sites are included in this program.
Mhm.
And all of the city sites, all of the county sites, and the state sites become the core, and Lake Calumet itself becomes the center of that core. And it's a transportation point for not only rail and auto, but also for waterways.
Mhm.
So,
And that is one of the goals of the Millennium Reserve, is to make Calumet a recreational area and the surrounding area of Lake Calumet.
including the shores of Lake Calumet, small boating,
Mhm.
you know, public access is the most important thing that we're talking about here. And all of the people in this room have been fighting that for many years. So,
I think you, and I know I can speak on behalf of the department on this, we're 100% in agreement with you. We're the 5th most populated state, and we rank on the bottom 3 or 4 with the most public lands available. So per capita, our public lands is just not very good. And that's really what the whole concept of the Millennium Reserve project is we have an area of Chicago with 3 million in the city right now, and there just isn't enough, in our opinion, there aren't enough outdoor recreation opportunities, and that's the genesis of what this is. And that's why the president he had that his plan, and then the governor himself has the No Child Left Inside Act. And so both outdoor recreation are two things, is the one thing on the governor's mind that he really, really wants to push forward. And I can tell you that this is one of his pet projects, and my director has met with him on multiple occasions, and one of the first things out of his mouth is, how's this Millennium Reserve project coming?
How is the Illinois half of the Calumet region being coordinated with the Northwest Indiana half?
We
And do you
are.
have a map for the Northwest Indiana?
We do not. We just, I don't know, we just had a meeting with the people from the Department of, I'm not sure.
NERC, from NERC,
Yeah.
the Regional Planning Commission, right?
Yep, and also,
John Swanson.
that's the guy we met with, yeah, John Swanson, and then we're also meeting with a Donnelly group to help us make the right inroads with the people in the Indiana area.
Okay,
think
so
it's
New York
connected.
State's the one that's pushing the Northwest Indiana.
Mhm.
Don's doing
Yeah.
that. And
And
so,
we are meeting with them within the next 2 weeks to get their side of this, so we can have a more comprehensive map.
and that will include the Lake Shore, National Lake Shore.
That will include, yeah. Because I've seen preliminary maps, and it does include quite a bit of the northern, yeah,
Because at one point, you'll be having one meeting for both sides?
yes, we will have joint meetings.
Okay.
And
But
that's not only just us in Indiana, but at some point, we'll have to bring in the Port District, the Army Corps, the Department of Interior, and we'll have, because it's a multifaceted approach we're taking.
Okay, well, and what's the kind of the calendar for that?
The meetings,
Yeah.
um,
Is there, because then you...
tentatively, I can say that we will have some sort of an idea. It could be as soon as November.
Okay.
We're really moving really fast. I can't give you an exact time frame, but I know we're meeting with Iowa in the next week or so, or Indiana in the next week or so, and then we'll be there. And we'll meet with. We've already met with someone from the I think it was the assistant director of the Department of Interior. He flew in, took a tour of the area, really was excited about the project. And then went back, and we've gotten rave reviews from Washington, and we've been getting a lot of people signing on board with this, both in Illinois and Indiana. And the mayor just actually wrote a letter in support of this project for us. So really,
Which mayor? I'm sorry.
Mayor Emanuel just
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, wrote a letter in support of this project. And so we're really trying to work closely with all of our groups. The only sticking point that we've had so far with Indiana is the modernization of the international port. When it comes down to money, states usually don't see eye to eye. So that's something that we'll have to deal with on a higher level than me, so I can't even speculate on that.
I think Michael's concern is that we're so used to meeting with both sides represented that it seems a little strange that we don't have that much in the way of Indiana representation here. Michael is by state, but the rest of us.
That's right, and so it's always kind of hard for me to, because I've been pushing for bi-state meetings for over a decade now, and so and it's so silly because it's the Calumet region, and actually it's a little bit probably larger on the Indiana side, but it's definitely a bi-state area, and it would so much more can get done when you have joint meetings and have separate meetings.
Oh yeah,
And I assume that you were planning eventually.
yeah,
on doing that.
and we are, they are fully aware of what we're doing, and I think they've started their preliminary parts of this, getting their constituencies and their interest groups on their side together and figuring out what they want. And once they figure out what they want, we'll sit down and we'll just mesh it all together, meld it all together.
Do you have any additional information about the modernization of the port? It feels like a sort of new piece of information, this expanded capacity with the Panama Canal, and that perhaps an exponential increase in traffic coming through the Illinois port. So is that, are we talking about a major expansion in the amount of traffic we're going to see through the port district?
It would be an increase. I'm not sure how much, but yes, it's a big undertaking to modernize the port, and it will have a bigger capacity. I can't speak on how much or to what extent traffic will increase or how much more, but yeah, it will increase large traffic through the international.
Is that actually going to involve bringing deep water ships up this far and dumping their bills into this cabin, bringing more bases each? Or is it going to be mostly a great bit of land for transshipping container area?
Well, it's gonna be, first on tackling your first question about Village Water.
Yeah.
I also serve on the Regional Coordinating Committee for Asian Carp, so I know for a fact that Illinois has no intention of bringing Asian carp in, and we have strict regulations on village water and what you have to do about village water. To the other point, do I know if they'll bring the big shipping containers up?
I'm thinking about using big expanses of land for parking, a lot of crap ones.
And that's
More
not-
productive use.
That's what we're hoping not to, and that's why the modernization will help, because it will reduce their land and be more, and create I think Seattle itself, in a port district, had modernized its port, and it created enough land that they have a park right next to their port, a green space, I would want to call it a park. Yes.
Your Iroquois landing area, and the Cal Harbor part was just for barges because they hadn't planned on doing any more dredging for the ships as soon as they come all the way in there.
I'm not familiar with that, I'm sorry, I can't speak. I would have to, well, that actually, yeah, I would have to check into that and get back to you. Well, I know they're trying to, the modernization of the port will allow for Lake Calumet to be used more as a open space instead of and more of a green space, and allow for the surrounding areas to be a green space. But I'm not sure where exactly the new port, the modernized port is being built.
Can you say recreational areas in the Calumet area?
Yes.
In the Calumet place?
Yes. That is the ultimate goal, is the recreation areas around the Lake Calumet.
That includes the western shore of Lake Calumet, the land bridge that goes to the eastern shore, and Slip 8, which is in the corner of the golf course marsh area. And if you've been in the golf course and on the veranda and looked across, it's green and it's wonderful birding there, and that's will be connected to the open space on the western shore of Lake Calumet. And public access is a cornerstone to the success of this project. And the people, I've been working with the people on the project, and they understand that. And so this is great news for the Calumet.
Is that bill still in the state legislature, Vic? That bill that was supposed to open up the east side, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, we failed on that bill until, and we failed for the last 10 years. And but now this has been the first time that we actually have had access to negotiations with the Port Authority, and that was a major benefit to us in this project.
And the Port Authority has just had some turnover on their board, so that we really think we have an inroad to get something done with the Port Authority. So that's.
And they met with your people have met. I don't know which it was whether John Wagner or
Todd May,
maybe, but they met with the new chairman of the Port Authority. He's going to be the chairman, and he signed on to the project.
Yeah, we met with quite a few from the Port Authority, and in all honesty, we have not had a single person come after our meeting had a negative view of this, because it's hard to say. It's really hard to go against opening up not only green space, but we're trying to modernize the infrastructure for
Come
the
on, give us a
economy.
break, what else could we
Yeah,
do?
and that's exactly the point of, and that's why I think that we're getting such a groundswell support, is because you just said you worked 10 years on that issue on the Lake Calumet to get the Port Authority to give you land. I can go somewhere else and someone will say, I've been working for 10 years to get this parcel of land open, and every single time we hold one of these public forums, it's some other issue where they just won't let us have public access. They don't use it for anything. It's great bird watching, it's great trails, it has everything, all the amenities already set up, it's just off limits to the public. And that's what we're trying to do, is to convince the Port Authority and other private industries and groups that not only can you have that land and use that land for your own business goods, but you can also use it for allowing the public to use it as a public recreation land. And everyone has seemed fairly open to that idea, and we're moving forward. And like I said, we're trying to move forward as fast as we can, so we can strike when the iron's hot.
Things that people in this area have been working on for decades. And one of them has been national park status as sort of a link between the I&M Canal and the dunes. So maybe we can't get that. But can we get, with your proposal here, because I thought I read something about it in the material that was available, can we get common signage that would link us by state to all of the marvelous facilities that we have?
I can't, not with 100% certainty, but when the Millennium Reserve project comes to fruition, I'm sure that everything will be marked as that you can have access. This is part of the Millennium Reserve thing. So everyone will know that this isn't just one little green area. It branches off throughout the corridors and everything else.
And nice brochures with...
Not by the state of Illinois. They've cut all of our printing expenses.
Oh, what, if there's a master and people can run it off.
Yeah. And yes, well, I'm sure we'll have something
together.
online because all of our parks are still online. You can print off a little brochure about the park and a map of the park. So yeah, I'm sure we'll have something like that.
Okay, then two other things.
And we probably will have brochures. I was just joking.
There's some mention here of sports complexes.
Yes.
And we've seen some in Whiting recently. But there's this thing called a velodrome that's already underway. Actually, there's a temporary velodrome for bicycle racing training that's already set up. And it hopes to have a permanent home in the U.S. Southworks space once $45 million happens to be raised. Can you see that as part of this? You're talking about soccer stadiums?
Yeah, we're talking about that. We'll also, we're not 100% against indoor recreational facilities either. So I don't know if a bicycle racing track would fall under it, but because we do plan that some of the properties that we will have our structures already built on them. So we could use the existing structure to say have a community center or something like that.
Right, because he intends to have more than just that.
Yeah,
But that would be the basis for it.
Yeah, and the buffer zones aren't strictly going to be baseball fields and soccer fields. It's going to be open land and wildlife habitat. It's just it just hasn't been. It doesn't have the significance as the core lands that it will be surrounding, like the wetlands, the marshes, the other areas that are more scientifically significant.
So far, his idea has been perhaps one of the more viable ones for that brownfield. So far, his idea has been one of the most viable ones for that brownfield, that existing brownfield.
For the
567 acres.
Yeah, and that brown and that's we can do that on brownfields. Is we can use the mud from mud to parks, bring it up, and use it to create soccer fields, soccer fields, football field, whatever they baseball.
And the third thing, if we developed a Calumet curriculum, that would be pre-K through college. Would that fit nicely into what you're talking about here too?
Oh, we would love that. We want this to be used as an educational tool, the Millennium Reserve Project. And that's why we have our fingers crossed that there's that education, the Ford Educational Center and besides that, we not only do we would like that, but we would also like for a chance for teachers and students to go out and go walk through a marsh or walk through a wetland and see exactly the different plant life, the different flora and fauna. So yes, this is as much as an educational thing as it is a outdoor recreation thing.
Okay, because there are already pieces of this in place.
Okay. All right.
So if it were somehow or other subsumed under this project, that would be a good thing.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be something that we would be open to. This is something that we want kids to be greatly involved in. Yes.
So it does sound like you're reaching out to a lot of partners, and is that sort of the process? You'll be identifying who some of those environmental education partners are and working with them to develop some of those programs?
Yeah, we're open to meeting with a large number of people. Like Chicago Wilderness helped set up this meeting for us, and they're kind of an umbrella group for a lot of different groups throughout the Chicago area. We're meeting with people from Indiana, and we're also meeting with different groups within the state that just have an interest. On this issue, we really have an open door policy on this. We're there. We're at the stage right now where we need to accumulate as much information as we can to make sure that everyone is on board from the very beginning.
And actually, that was my follow-up point, so good segue. Is there a way for people to provide feedback who might not have been able to come to a meeting like this? Is there an online way of submitting?
They have been working on getting a website both on ours and the governor's website. I'm not sure where it is at this moment. I'm not. I wasn't with the IT people, but
That's sort of the
that will be a plan. And if in the meantime, I can give you a card, and I'd be more than willing to take all your emails and disperse it to the right people.
The question, you've probably said this, but I just want to refocus it. A lot of people, a question I've been hearing a lot lately is, what was the impetus for this one? Why all of a sudden this happened? I think I know the answer, but I'd love to hear it.
It was two things. It was the president. What do you call it? He called it the
American Great Outdoors.
Yeah, America's Great Outdoor Initiative, and then our Governor Quinn has his No Child Left Inside initiative, and those kind of dovetailed together into this. And also, the initiative why we got this Millennium Reserve project is because of all the support that the Calumet area came and said when they did the president came in and had his public forums. From what we understand is Calumet area represented itself very well in those meetings and drew attention from a lot of high-ranking federal officials and the governor, and they took advantage of the momentum that you guys have created.
I was wondering if there's going to be a way of providing money to local people, students and groups to help clean up some of these areas that may be filling up with non-native invasive plants and brush and trees and stuff like that. If you're trying to make a prairie, you want to...
At this point in the Millennium Reserve, there's not been talk about that yet. However, the department created, we didn't create it, we revamped a Illinois Youth and Conservation Work Program, and so that was, we sent 2,800 kids out to local nonprofits to help do the maintenance with removing non-native and really just all around maintenance around parks and other recreational areas. And then we also have our own, within the state parks, we have the temporary workers who do that, And then each Earth Day, we have Earth Day in the parks. And that's where any local school community can call their local state park. And we will take them out, either plant trees, take care of a grassland, or get rid of some non-native plants. Just all sorts of activities to try to do that. The problem right now, and I'm sure most of you are aware of it, the state is not in a great fiscal situation. So talking about funding for schooling programs and stuff like that, it's just hard for DNR to say when schools are getting cut by whatever they are, to say, come in and say, we want to give them more money just for this program. It's a hard financial time here in the state.
Yeah, I know
So assuming this, we get named Millennium Reserve, whatever it's going to be called, and it actually happens, we get the blessing from the feds, then funding would be available for what kinds of things? Would it be strictly for programming? Would it be on-the-ground restoration work? Would it be land acquisition? Do you know what those?
It would be land acquisition and restoration and maintenance. It would be all that, and it would be a whole litany of things, but mainly for the first core projects, it will be acquisition and maintenance.
So the focus really would be on the preservation of the land first and foremost.
For the core areas. And we do want to expand those core areas. We don't want to just rely on what we already have. This is preserve what we have and expand greatly on it.
Change of title,
Yeah.
how about by state?
Illinois wants to take credit for this one.
For this half, yes, but for the other.
All right.
Because
Well,
the
you told me
Calumet
that
region is by state.
The Calumet Region?
Yeah.
Well, we could call it the Calumet Millennium Reserve.
Okay.
You guys like that? That was actually one of the
Reserve would be fun.
Calumet should be in
the Calumet Reserve, just that. And that's actually,
That's what,
has been for the most part,
What
the
it is.
suggestions that we've had.
that's what it is, yeah.
That is what it is, and I think that's what the community's called it for many years.
Calumet Reserve?
Yeah.
Call it Calumet Region, but
Okay.
to add that, to change the status to reserve, I think everybody would be excited about
Okay.
Good idea.
that. Increasing stature.
Any other? Damn, I should have this early.
I was instructed to say something about a message from the Calumet Stewardship Initiative, which is sort of the Calumet version of Chicago Wilderness, to keep it simple, but it is a bi-state effort. There's, I don't know, I guess we're pushing 40 different organizations that are involved, both
41 now.
41, all right. They're social, they're business, they're, obviously conservation groups and museums and governments, but, we've all come together over many years now to really focus on kind of that coordinate our efforts. There's no staff or funding or anything like that. It's just a belief in this region and desire to preserve the natural areas here, but also engage the business that's here. So we're happy that you came out tonight to talk to us as members of the community. I think there's a really great cross-section here of both staff members of different organizations, but also just really regular, very long committed citizens that live in the region. So you're really speaking to a good group, and we appreciate that you came out.
Well, I want to
You're competing against the Sierra Club and the local problem with coal-fired plants on the horizon.
Yeah, tonight there's a big,
Yeah, so tonight there's that meeting, and otherwise this room would have been filled up.
Okay.
Definitely, but
tonight's the cement plant, right?
yeah, cement plant, yeah.
There's an EPA air permit public hearing tonight at the Olive Garden. And like Laura was saying, everybody has time to get over there if you want to.
7 to 9, you still have time.
Well, if I'm going to help you out, I'm not going to hold you here. No, but I do want to. I want to thank all of you guys for coming. Not the best weather, and apparently you have other things to do. So I'm glad you guys came. But we really wanted, as a department and as a state, and with other shareholders, we really want to bring in as many people as we can. And like I said, I have business cards, and if any of you want to grab one after this, feel free to shoot me an email. I'd be more than happy to help. If I don't know the answer, I'm sure I can help find someone who can. I think we can all agree that this is a project that we really want to see move forward, and I think that within the next 2-3 months you'll see quite a bit of action. We'll keep everyone here in the loop and let you guys know what's going on.